Welcome to OMeranger004, where we talk comics, movies, TV shows and games. But before we start, please join me on Patreon by OMeranger004. Your small donation helps run the channel. With that out of the way, let's begin. Iceman, Robert Louis Drake, is a fictional character appearing in American comic books published by Marvel Comics and is a founding member of the X-Men. Created by writer Stan Lee and artist, co-plotter Jack Kirby, the character first appeared in the X-Men #1, September 1963. Iceman is a mutant born with superhuman abilities. He has the ability to manipulate ice and cold by freezing water vapor around him. This allows him to freeze objects, as well as cover his body with ice. The character received widespread media attention when it was revealed that he was gay in All New X-Men #40, in April 2015. Iceman is notable for being one of the most prominent gay characters in comic books. The character has been frequently present in X-Men and Spider-Man related comics, video games, animated series, and films. Shawn Ashmore portrayed Iceman in the X-Men films, and voices the character in the Superhero Squad show. Main timeline: Iceman early life. Robert Louis Bobby Drake was born in Floral Park, Long Island, New York, to William Robert Drake and Madeline Beatrice Bass Drake. His father is Irish-American Catholic, and his mother is Jewish. 9. Bobby's powers first manifested when he was on a date with Judy Harmon, and a local bully by the name of Rocky Beasley tried to take Judy away for himself. Knowing Judy could not put up a good fight, Bobby pointed his hand at Beasley and encased him in a block of ice. Later, the local townspeople, having heard of the incident, came looking for him in the form of an angry mob. The local sheriff had no choice but to put Bobby in jail for his own protection. While Bobby sat in his cell at the sheriff's station, the outer wall was blown open, and a young man named Scott Summers walked in and offered to take Bobby with him. After Bobby turned him down, the two mutants got into a short battle, which was soon ended by the arrival of Professor Charles Xavier. 10. After Xavier spoke with Bobby and his parents, Bobby's parents suggested that he go with Professor Xavier to his school for gifted youngsters. Bobby took the suggestion and left with Professor Xavier and Cyclops to become the second member of the X-Men. He is later joined by Henry, Hank, McCoy, Jean Grey, and Warren Worthington III as the founding members of the X-Men. Drake remains self-conscious regarding the fact that he is the youngest member of the group. Appearing in his original snow-covered form, he first battles Magneto along with the rest of the Team 11, and later the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. 12. Bobby Drake's first girlfriend is Zelda. 13. Not long after, he takes on a new ice-covered form. 14. He then teams up with the Human Torch for the first time. 15. The two would become close friends as time went on. With the X-Men, he visits the Savage Land and meets Ka-Zar for the first time. 16. He then battles the Juggernaut. 17, and is badly injured in his first battle against the Sentinels. 18. He next battles Magneto by himself. 19. Later, he visits Subterranea for the first time. 20. Then, he and Beast battle the Maha-Yogi. 21. During his original stint with the X-Men, Drake pursues a relationship with Lorna Dane, although the relationship does not last. Iceman is among the original X-Men captured by Krakoa, leading to a new incarnation of X-Men of which he is not a member. With most of the original team, he quits the X-Men. 22. Champions and Defenders. Iceman moves to the American West Coast to attend UCLA and becomes a founding member of the Champions of Los Angeles. 23. However, the Champions soon dissolve. 24. Iceman is then abducted by Master Mold, and alongside Angel, he encounters the Hulk. 25. Iceman next aids the Thing in battling the circus of crime. 26. Drake retires from life as a superhero to earn a college degree in accounting, but apparently at a college on the East Coast, not UCLA. 27. While in college, he briefly rejoins the X-Men to rescue the captives of Arcade's henchman, Miss Locke. 28. Iceman is reunited with Beast, encounters Cloud, and then returns as a full-time superhero in an incarnation of the Defenders alongside his former teammates, Angel and Beast. 29. He also battles Professor Power's secret empire while with the Defenders. 30. After the Defenders disband, Drake embarks on his career as an accountant. Sometime later, Iceman encounters Mirage, the daughter of Oblivion. Iceman journeys back in time and meets his parents before he was born, and battles Oblivion and Mirage. He then reconciles with his parents. 31. X-Factor. The original X-Men, including Iceman, reunite to form the superhero team X-Factor. 32. With this new team, he encounters Apocalypse for the first time. 33. During his time with the team, Loki captures Bobby, hoping to use him to gain control over the Frost Giants. Loki enhances Bobby's powers and then extracts them to restore the size of the Frost Giants. Iceman is rescued by Thor. 34. Loki's tampering increases Bobby's powers to such an extent that he begins to lose control of his abilities. During a later battle with the Right, he is fitted with a power-dampening belt which actually helps him control his abilities. Once able only to sheathe his own body in a protective coating of ice, Bobby finds he can encase the entirety of the Empire State Building. With time, Bobby gains sufficient control over his augmented powers and is able to stop using the inhibitor belt. Believing he has achieved his full potential, Bobby does not attempt to develop his abilities further. With X-Factor, Bobby then defeats Apocalypse's horsemen. 35. Iceman helps watch over many of the younger superheroes, something he once was. Most notably, he and Beast help Boom Boom gain a more normal life. For a brief while, he also helps supervise the New Mutants and their sister team, the X-Terminators. They, in turn, save him from the deadly kiss of Infection. 36. Bobby also develops a romantic relationship with Opal Tanaka. After a session of ice sledding, she discovers threatening mail in her mailbox, a precursor to harassment by her cybernetically enhanced relatives of the Tatsu clan of the Yakuza, which Bobby helps her out with. 37. After the Muir Island saga, Iceman rejoins the X-Men along with the rest of X-Factor. 38. Back with the X-Men. When he rejoined the X-Men, it seemed that he learned to control his powers and no longer needed the inhibitor belt. This made him believe he reached the limit of his powers. 39. The X-Men were separated into two groups. Iceman was placed in the Gold Team, led by Storm, along with fellow original X-Men Jean Grey, now without a code name, and Archangel. 40. One day he took Opal to eat with his parents, however his dad began humiliating her because of her Japanese heritage. The four are attacked by the Cyber Samurai, which added to William Drake's prejudices about the girl. 41. When Bobby came across Mikhail Rasputin, he used his mutant abilities on him. Bobby discovered that his potential was still far from being reached as he converted his body into ice, not just covered by it. 42. By turning his entire body to ice, instead of just wearing an icy exterior, Bobby now was capable of using his power in new, aggressive ways, adding spikes and padding to his ice structure. 43. Too busy with the many threats that the X-Men faced every day, Bobby let his relationship with Opal deteriorate, and when they finally saw each other again after weeks, it was only to save her from an attack by mutant haters. Annoyed that she could only gain his attention by nearly getting killed, Opal broke off their relationship. 44. Later, as he was checking on Emma Frost, who was in a comatose state after the mutant Trevor Fitzroy unleashed the mutant hunting sentinels on Emma Frost and her students known as the Hellions, the mansion was hit by an electricity breakdown. 45. Emma woke up disoriented, possessed Bobby's mind, and used his powers in ways Bobby never had. She froze an entire river and traveled through water. She was looking for her pupils, but after finding out they were dead, she left Bobby's body. 46. Bobby invites Rogue to tag along on a visit to his parents. Wrongly assuming a romantic relation, his father disapproves of Rogue, verbally attacking them with the same prejudices he expressed with Opal. This time, Bobby had enough and left after telling his father that he should just accept the fact that he is a mutant and he would never fit the definition he has of normal. He was upset that Emma exhibited greater control of his powers than he had. Since Rogue was having problems with Gambit, the two of them go on a road trip to ease their minds. 47. During the Legion quest, Iceman was one of the X-Men who went back in time to stop Legion from killing Magneto. They succeed, but only partially. Legion does not kill Magneto, but instead accidentally murdered Xavier, his own father, years before Legion had been conceived, much less born. This paradox caused the events of the Age of Apocalypse. At the last moment before the original reality ended, Iceman's fellow X-Men, Rogue and Gambit shared a kiss. When reality resumed, Rogue's mind-absorbing touch renders Gambit comatose. Having absorbed some secret haunting memories, she needs to get away from the X-Men, and Iceman volunteers to join her on a road trip, though at the same time he was starting to see visions of Emma Frost. When Gambit awoke from his coma, he tracked them down and confronted Rogue about what she saw in his mind. She broke off their relationship. Iceman and Gambit returned to the X-Men. 48. When the entity known as Onslaught first appeared, Iceman was chosen as one of his test subjects, along with Storm, Cyclops and Wolverine. They were pitted against a servant of Onslaught named Post, in a specific battle area of harsh environment to test the extent of their abilities. They won and were returned to the mansion. However, Iceman's chest had been shattered in his ice form during battle, making it impossible to change back to human form. 49. He confronted Emma Frost and demanded to know what she did to his powers in his body and how to save himself. She refused to help since she knew that Bobby would have to do it himself. When he captured her with his ice powers, she telepathically showed him his insecurities. By confronting Opal and his father in her simulation, Iceman realized that Emma was right and managed to transform back to his human body with his chest fully intact. 50. When Graydon Creed was running for president, with a heavy anti-mutant campaign, Bobby was chosen to infiltrate in the campaign. His father stood out in a crowd and spoke in favor of the mutants, which came as a surprise to Bobby. His father's connection with Bobby was discovered, so the people that worked for Graydon captured him and almost beat him to death. Bobby decided to stay away from the X-Men for a while to be with his dad. 51. Zero Tolerance came across and Bobby found and helped Cecilia Reyes, who was trying to keep a secret that she was a mutant. They also joined with Charlotte Jones and the Morlock Marrow. After Bastion was defeated, he took Cecilia and Marrow to the mansion, and soon left the X-Men again for a while to be with his parents. 52. Much later, the X-Men found evidence in one of Destiny's journals of a group known as the 12, including Xavier, Magneto, Cyclops, Phoenix, Iceman, Polaris, Storm, Cable, Bishop, Sunfire, Mikhail Rasputin and the Living Monolith. They also learned that the Apocalypse's horsemen had been kidnapping these mutants from around the globe. Iceman was captured in the woods near his home by Deathbird, who had become the Horseman War. 53. Gathering the remaining 12, the X-Men traveled to Egypt and confronted Apocalypse and the Skrulls. Apocalypse and his forces captured all of the 12 during the battle, using them in a ritual to give the Chaos Bringer a new body and incredible power. Magneto and Polaris created opposite magnetic polarities. Iceman, Storm, and Sunfire provided elemental extremes. Cyclops, Phoenix, and Cable gave the sheer power of family. Xavier represented the power of mind and Bishop and Mikhail stood for time and space, while the monolith linked all their energies together. Nate Gray was to be Apocalypse's new host, a powerhouse to store his massive life force. The 12 managed to free themselves and Cyclops sacrificed his own body and life force to keep Apocalypse from getting Nate. Though the new Apocalypse was defeated, Cyclops seemed lost forever. 54. After that incident, Iceman helped the Beast to secretly enter Genosha, as he wanted to study the legacy-infected mutates. When the High Evolutionary released his anti-mutation wave, they were trapped in the war-ravaged country. With the aid of Magneto, they escaped and joined forces with the rest of the scattered X-Men. They raided the Evolutionary's satellite, disabled the mutation field and defeated Sinister, who had been manipulating the Evolutionary. 55, 56, 57. Iceman was recruited by the living ship Prosh, along with other mutants, like Jean Grey, Mystique, Toad and Juggernaut, to preserve evolution and save it. In this journey Iceman developed his powers even further, which led him to no longer be afraid of the natural course of his powers and he returned to the X-Men. 58. He joined a new team of X-Men, consisting of Angel, Nightcrawler, Wolverine and Chamber. He was using his abilities in a whole new way now, just channeling the power and not turning his body into ice. 59. Second Mutation. During a heated battle with a recently evolved Black Tom Cassidy, he received a chest wound. After returning to normal, his chest did not fully recover and some parts of it remained icy, and he was unable to return them to normal. At first he became afraid of it, but in time it made him gain a new attitude in life, even rude at some times. 60. Nobody seemed to realize it at the time, but evidently this was an early sign of Iceman undergoing a secondary mutation of his own. When he repeatedly tried to evade his regular medical checkups, school nurse Annie Gazikanian recognized that something odd was going on with him and pressured him to show her the wound. Bobby made her promise not to tell anyone and showed her that parts of his chest are now made of ice and he is unable to change them back to flesh and blood. Iceman wonders if he will entirely turn into ice on a permanent basis. 61. He developed an attitude that, to some of the newer addition to the X-Men, like Stacy X, Juggernaut and Northstar, he comes across as rather arrogant, denouncing their status as team members, as they have not been around as long as he. Iceman even went as far as offending Nightcrawler by claiming that only the original 5, and no one else, has the right to call themselves an X-Man. 62. Bobby was further frustrated when Havoc and Polaris announced their imminent wedding, him having carried a torch for Lorna for quite some time. In his frustration he turned to Annie, who had problems with the wedding too, as she was secretly in love with Havoc. The nurse surprised him with the accusation of him being a racist, feeling comfortable as a mutant who could pass like a human when needed, opposed to being a fully obvious mutant or a mere human. With his secondary mutation manifesting, though, Iceman was in danger of losing this status. Shocked by the truth of her words, Bobby fully opened up about his fears, that as a man fully made of ice he could never feel the warmth of a physical relationship again. Touched, Annie allowed him to kiss her, but when Havoc called off the wedding, wanting to be with Annie instead, she quickly dumped Bobby. 63. Upon encountering Azazel and his followers, Iceman's body is shattered from the neck down. Afterward, he regains his entire ice form, but cannot change back to his human appearance. As a result, Bobby becomes both bitter and despondent because of this drastic change. 64. Rogue's team. Iceman joins Rogue's team after she tells him that she wants him as a member. Volume and issue needed. Their first mission as a team is to fight a new threat, a powerful group known as the Children of the Vault. 65. The team is successful, and during this time, Bobby learns that he can be completely destroyed but then pull himself back together again. It was shown several times during the arc. The next mission for the team was to locate a man called Pandemic and defeat him. The team was again successful, but Rogue was infected with a virus called Strain 88. Cable took the team, including Bobby, to his island so Rogue could get treatment. 66. While on Cable's island, the team and Iceman began working to defeat the sheer weapon known as the Hecatome. During the chaos, he shared a passionate kiss with Mystique. 67. Even as he did so, he saved many lives by containing the explosion of the Conquistador, and, later, the Hecatome itself. 68. Blinded by the light as the team recovers from Hecatome attack in Rogue's childhood home, it appears that Mystique and Iceman begin a romantic relationship. 69. This was a front, as Mystique was using Iceman and the X-Men as a Marauder spy for Mr. Sinister. 70. Marauders soon infiltrated the house. They attempt to gain access to Destiny's diaries on the order of Mr. Sinister, who has been gathering information about the future from anybody and anything that could foretell the future. Bobby and Cannonball escape from the Marauders in the X-Jet, with help from Emma Frost. They are pursued by Sunfire. They manage to get the better of him and take him prisoner, but not before he manages to cripple the jet. While Sunfire is unconscious, Iceman and Sam discuss the Marauders' plan to eliminate all precognitive mutants and anyone with knowledge of the future, as well as retrieving Destiny's diaries before the Marauders can. During this time, Bobby displayed subatomic control of energy transfers when he prevented Sunfire from using his fire-based powers. 71. Cannonball and Bobby, telepathically prompted by Emma Frost, attempt to recover the diaries which are hidden in a dilapidated brewery. Mr. Sinister uses the reverse-engineered version of Xavier's Cerebro to track the pair of X-Men to the brewery. The Marauders attack Cannonball and Iceman and overtake them. Bobby, while in his ice form, suffers a gunshot wound from Mystique, which severs one of his arms above the elbow. Mr. Sinister, who takes Cannonball prisoner, attempts to telepathically erase his mind so that the X-Men will find him as an empty shell. Iceman attacks Sinister, distracting him, which allows both of the X-Men to escape. 72. Messiah Complex. The new X-Men team decided to raid the headquarters of the Purifiers in Washington, D.C., but were forced to retreat. Pixie teleported them back to the mansion in a rush, but the entire team was scattered between D.C. and Westchester. Iceman, after recovering from his injuries, volunteered to go look for them and was given telepathic directions by Emma Frost. 73. Iceman was successful in finding the new X-Men, most of them injured. On the way back, they found that the ONE Sentinels guarding the Xavier Institute had become infected by nano-sentinels and attacked the school. Iceman and new X-Man X-23 helped out in the battle with the ONE Sentinels. With the help of Dust and X-23, the X-Men were able to survive this battle, but the Nano-Sentinel infected human escaped. 74. Soon, Iceman participated in the final battle against the Marauders, the Acolytes, and Predator X. He was one of the X-Men who came running in to fight Predator X after it swallowed Wolverine whole. However, he also witnesses his mentor, Professor Xavier, killed by Bishop's bullet, which was not meant for him. 75. Divided We Stand. Iceman arrives in San Francisco, where he was set to meet Hepzibah, Warpath, and Angel. All four are caught in the effects of a citywide illusion created by Martinique Jason, who used her powers to transform the city into a hippie paradise. 76. Now calling himself Frosty, he and the others are sent by Martinique to confront Scott Summers and Emma Frost. 77. Emma Frost is able to break up the illusion and free everyone. They eventually set up their base of operations in San Francisco as X-Men. 78. Secret Invasion and Utopia. Iceman is one of the X-Men that assists in fighting the Skrull invasion in San Francisco. 79. Iceman rescues Colossus from Venom. 80, and is later made a part of a team to battle Emma Frost's Dark X-Men. 81. During the final battle on Utopia, Iceman teams up with the X-students to take on Mimic. 82. Iceman had the labor of providing water to the population. He attempted to use humor to keep everyone's spirits up, even though he believed that the situation was helpless and that the X-Men were living in the last days of mutantkind. Bobby then helped defeat Predator X and also helped stop Selene's resurrected army's invasion of Utopia. Volume and issue needed. Second Coming. During the battle with Bastion's Nimrod Sentinels, Iceman is severely injured following an attack from one of them that reversed his ice form and left him with burns on his body. 83. He is only there for a short time because his mutant powers help him minimize the injuries he suffered, and he is seen back in battle alongside Psylocke and the other X-Men. 84. Post-Schism. Early solicitations show that after Wolverine and Cyclops have a major falling out, Wolverine decides to branch off and open the Jean Grey School for Higher Learning back in New York. 85. Iceman is the first person Wolverine approaches and recruits to his new X-Men squad as both a professor and teammate. Iceman is chosen because Wolverine feels he has the kind of spirit the new school needs. 86. 87. He also has an off and on romantic relationship with Kitty Pryde. 88. Extraordinary X-Men. When the Terrigen became toxic for mutants, Iceman was one of the recruits in Storm's new team dedicated to protecting mutants from the Terrigen by leading them to X-Haven. 89. Iceman mostly works alongside Nightcrawler, helping him search for Colossus after he is transformed into one of Apocalypse's new horsemen. 90. Iceman and Nightcrawler manage to track Colossus to Egypt, where he ambushes them and almost kills them until another squad of X-Men comes in to help. 91. After that, Iceman joins the X-Men when they declare war against the Inhumans after discovering that in a matter of weeks the Terrigen will render Earth as completely uninhabitable for mutants. 92. Fantastic Four returns. Iceman is among the heroes summoned by Mr. Fantastic, a group consisting of former substitute members of the Fantastic Four, to help the Future Foundation against the cosmic entity known as the Griever. However, the Human Torch objects to Iceman's presence during the battle, emphatically asserting that Iceman was never a member of the FF. Iceman states that he was made a member during an adventure involving Namor. The Torch simply counters with, "That didn't count." 93. As recounted in Fantastic Four Volume 6 Number 24, Iceman's induction into the FF did not feature Namor, but occurred during the early days of the FF and the original X-Men. One morning years ago, the youthful Torch quit the FF in an immature fit of pique. That same day, the sensitive teen-aged Iceman left the X-Men after being laughed at by his peers for his poor showing in a danger room exercise. Iceman encountered the remaining FF members and assisted them with a day-long series of crises, being casually admitted to the team as a result. When the Torch discovered that he had been replaced, he attacked Iceman during the FF's current battle and forcefully declared that Iceman was not an FF member. The Invisible Girl forced the pair to work together to help defeat the FF's final opponent of the day. Iceman was then telepathically summoned back to the X-Men by Professor X, who praised his student's performance. Mr. Fantastic told the departing Iceman that he could return to the FF whenever he wanted. The Torch was also readmitted, with a penance of a week's laundry detail. 94. In the present time, Iceman returns the teen-aged Franklin Richards to the FF's Yancey Street home, headquarters from Krakoa, and is recognized by the building's security system as an FF member. This angers the Torch once again, and he declares that Iceman had never been a member of the team. The two men bicker over the issue until Iceman realizes that the Torch was never upset about Iceman replacing him on the team, but believes that he was trying to take his place in the FF family. The Torch finally admits that what bothered him most was that other substitute members, who were also considered family by the FF, were always brought in due to major events, and that if Iceman was the actual first substitute member, that meant the Torch had given up his place, over nothing. The Torch ultimately drops the matter of Iceman's legitimacy and says that he was an official substitute FF member, and is also a part of the FF family. 94 solo series. After being outed as gay by the time-displaced Jean Grey, the younger time-displaced Iceman confronts his older self, asking him why he has been presenting as straight for most of his adult life. The older Bobby breaks down and admits that he has known he was gay for a long time but forcibly repressed that part of himself, fearful of how others would react. He further acknowledges that he was scared to reveal his true self to the world due to already facing prejudice for being a mutant and not wanting to receive hatred for another part of himself. 95. Following all of this, Bobby decides to take a break from the limelight and focus on himself, declining to join the new X-team formed by Kitty Pryde, instead acting as a reserve member and teaching classes at the Xavier School. After a training session with his younger self, Bobby sees the time-displaced Iceman head out for a date with his boyfriend Romeo while he tries to set up an online dating profile to meet guys. He receives a text from his mother stating that his father has had a heart attack, so Bobby rushes to the hospital only to be chastised by his father for missing family events due to his commitments as a superhero. Following a brief battle in the hospital, Bobby's parents ask him to leave, angry that their mutant son is bringing yet more trouble into their lives. 96. On a mission with Kitty to rescue a new mutant, she confronts Bobby about being gay, asking why he could not tell her himself, meaning she had to find out from a secondary source. She reassures him that she only wants to help him and lets him know she is there if he ever wants to talk, but suggests he should come out to his parents. Bobby arranges dinner with his family, but he is constantly subjected anti-mutant rhetoric from his parents. The dinner is interrupted by a gang of purifiers, but, although Iceman takes them down quickly and the lives of his parents, they are angry that their house has been destroyed because of him and send him away, although his mother promises to try and convince his father to visit him at the X-Mansion. 97. When the mutant that he and Kitty rescues goes missing, Iceman tracks him to a nearby nightclub where he discovers that Dakin is responsible for luring him away. Dakin tries to flirt with Bobby to distract him, but Iceman freezes him and attempts to convince the mutant to return to the Xavier school, though he refuses. Dakin mocks Bobby, saying that he can smell his fear and insecurity. Upon returning, Kitty surprises Bobby by revealing that his parents have arrived for a visit. He tells them he is gay and they both react negatively, angry that their son is both a mutant and a gay man. They chastise him for letting everyone else find out before them and try to convince him that he is straight, due to having been with women in the past. The family argument is interrupted by Juggernaut, who attacks the school looking for the young X-Men. Iceman defeats him by pushing his powers and returns to the mansion to find his father is still there. He had obtained Bobby's draft of a coming-out letter from Kitty and the two men begin to reconcile. 98. Bobby reconnects with his former Champions teammates, Angel, Hercules, Ghost Rider and Darkstar, so they reminisce about their time with Black Widow. Bobby runs into a guy, Judah, while out shopping and he agrees to meet him that night at a local gay bar, with the rest of the Champions acting as his wingman. The date appears to be going well but is interrupted by an attack by some Sentinels. 99. Bobby's relationship with Judah continues to develop and he decides to move to LA to be closer to him. While fighting Pyro with his younger self, Bobby explains that his mother has finally made contact with him for the first time since he came out and that she wants to invite both of them to dinner. Time-displaced Iceman agrees on the condition that Bobby tries to talk sense into Romeo, who hasn't called him in weeks. Meanwhile, Dakin begins training his new mutant protege for a secret mission. When both the younger Bobby and the older Bobby arrive at the restaurant, their parents see the younger Bobby as a chance to raise a new son in a way that suits them, but the time-displaced Iceman refuses, saying that he is still gay and wants to live life on his own terms before they both storm out. 100. During Bobby's moving away party at the X-Mansion, Dakin uses the purifiers to distract the other X-Men while he and his apprentice infiltrate the school and ambush Bobby. The young mutant uses his leveled-up powers to increase Dakin's strength by turning him into Apocalypse's Horseman Death, and he mortally wounds Judah with his claws before engaging Iceman in combat. Bobby manages to defeat Dakin with a kiss which freezes Death's powers, but Dakin escapes and Judah breaks up with Bobby because his life is too much for him to deal with. 101. After teaming with Bishop to help the Morlocks who came under threat by Mr. Sinister, Bobby finds himself approached by Emma Frost, who asks him for his help. Ignoring Kitty's protests, he agrees and Emma explains that her father, who subjected her brother Christian to conversion therapy before having him institutionalized, has recently let him out and reinstalled him as the new heir to the Frost business empire. When they arrive, they discover that Christian has murdered their father and is exhibiting his own powers. Bobby and Emma help to free Christian from his mental breakdown and Emma decides to stay with him. 102. Joining with his friends Spider-Man and Firestar, Bobby discovers that Sinister was behind the attack on the Morlocks and confronts him in his safe house. Sinister, intent on trying to unlock the secrets of Iceman's DNA by dissecting him, sends forth an army of experimental ice creatures, but Bobby's Omega-level powers absorb them all into him and he fires Mr. Sinister into space. 103. Celebrating his birthday, Bobby is confronted by Ice Wizard, a future version of himself from an alternate timeline. Ice Wizard warns Bobby that he must quit the X-Men and stop using his powers to avoid a world-destroying series of events happening. He explains that Dakin seduces him and manipulates him into sacrificing the other X-Men before betraying him and gaining Thanos-level powers. Bobby is adamant that this won't happen and the two engage in battle. Jean Grey arrives and Bobby finally confronts her for the actions of her younger self when she outed him. Bobby explains to Ice Wizard that he is going to live life on his terms and that nobody, not even his future self, is going to decide for him. Bobby returns to his birthday celebration where Christian arrives and hands him a large sum of money which Bobby gives to the Morlocks. A content Bobby messages Judah, asking if he would like to meet up as friends. 104. Time-displaced Iceman. All new X-Men following the war with the Phoenix Five, as Cyclops begins to lash out against government oppression of mutants. A chance comment by Bobby about how the old Cyclops wouldn't tolerate what he is currently doing inspires Beast to travel back in time and recruit the original 5 X-Men to stop Cyclops. 105. The team decides to stay in the present instead of returning into the past. Volume and issue needed. They are now called the All-New X-Men and led by Kitty Pryde. Volume and issue needed. The past and present Bobby are particularly shocked when they see each other. The younger Bobby is especially shocked by the older Bobby's Omega-level powers, like creating ice golems, and especially his future, Ice Wizard, self in the Battle of the Atom. 106. Eventually he and the all-new X-Men and the Guardians of the Galaxy travel to the Shi'ar Empire to rescue Jean Grey from a trial for the genocide that her future Dark Phoenix self committed. Volume and issue needed. The team is then teleported into the Ultimate Marvel universe, where he stumbles into Mole Man's lair. Volume and issue needed. He proudly creates his first ice golem in order to escape. Volume and issue needed. Returning to their universe, the team are reunited with Cyclops when they are called upon to aid the Guardians of the Galaxy again in retrieving the fabled Black Vortex. Volume and issue needed. Cyclops, Iceman and Groot become superpowered by the Vortex before returning it to Captain Marvel. Later, the younger, time-displaced Bobby is forced to confront being gay by his teammate, Jean, who privately asks him why he calls women hot, when she knows via her psychic abilities that he is gay. This causes the younger Bobby to speculate as to the complicated identity issues faced by his older self and the decisions his older self may have made in the time between them. 107. Together with the young Jean, the young Bobby confronts his older self, who admits to being gay, having concealed that part of himself so that he could have avoid being prejudiced against for another part of himself. 95. Bobby joins the time-displaced Cyclops, Angel and Beast, as well as Kid Apocalypse, all-new Wolverine and Oya as they road trip around America trying to make their own mark on the world. Bobby is initially reluctant to talk about his sexuality with his teammates until Oya and Kid Apocalypse take him to a gay club in an attempt to make him more comfortable. He embarrasses himself and runs into Romeo, an inhuman with the ability to manipulate and feel others' emotions. Romeo makes Bobby more comfortable and the two begin a relationship. The two are later caught in the middle when the X-Men declare war on the Inhumans. Bobby joins the X-Men when they attack New Attilan but quickly breaks off from the battle to find Romeo, with the two escaping. X-Men Blue. After the X-Men's war against the Inhumans for the Terrigen ends, Iceman joins the rest of the young X-Men on an attempted return to their original timeline, but they quickly realize that theirs isn't part of the Earth's 616 timeline, leaving them stuck in that present time with no knowledge where they were originally from. 109. Upon learning this, Iceman joins the rest of the young X-Men and leaves the rest of the X-Men to find their place in the world. Iceman then joins Magneto in Madripoor along with the rest of the time-displaced X-Men. However, due to a lack of trust in their new leader, the X-Men make plans and train in case Magneto returns to his former villainous ways to kill them. Instead of training with his teammates, Iceman spends most of his time trying to reach out Romeo unsuccessfully, placing him into a stupor. The time-displaced X-Men continue fighting crime in the present day, although following a battle with the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants from an alternate timeline, they are disheartened to realize that they must eventually return to their original time. This particularly upsets Bobby, who is sad that all of their growth as people will be undone once they go back. While the team are in space working alongside Venom to defeat the Poisons, a race of mind-controlling symbiotes, Magneto attacks several Hellfire Club parties searching for Emma Frost. The X-Men find her first and offer to protect her from Magneto, although they quickly discover that he had taken mutant growth hormones to enhance his powers and, rather than kill the team he has mentored, Magneto leaves. Young Jean senses that they must return to their own time period soon, and the X-Men have heart-to-hearts with their adult selves. During a game of pool with older Iceman, Bobby breaks down, knowing that his memory of the present must be erased and he will be forced back into the closet, and, despite Iceman's best efforts to convince his younger self that he will grow up to be someone awesome, Bobby admits that he likes the person he has already become, but that remaining that person is no longer an option. As the team prepare to leave, a news report announces that Magneto has formed a new brotherhood, leading the X-Men to decide to stay in the present for a little while longer. Extermination. While en route to help young Cyclops, Bobby is attacked by a mysterious assailant but is rescued by Cable, who urges him to flee. Iceman refuses but is incapacitated and captured while Cable is killed. Young Jean attempts to use Cerebro to locate Bobby but states that she is unable to find him. In a secret lab, the man who attacked Bobby is revealed to be a time-displaced version of Cable who has him locked up in a tube. 113. Kitty gathers all of the X-Men, who split into 4 teams tasked with protecting one of the remaining time-displaced X-Men. Young Jean uses her telepathy to guide her team to young Cable's base, where he admits to murdering his older self because he had failed in his mission to maintain the timeline by allowing the young X-Men to stay in the present for so long. They discover that Cable has been genetically modifying young Iceman so that he looks the way he looked when he left his original time period. He releases Bobby and teleports them all to Atlantis, where Ahab is attempting to kill young Cyclops so that the timeline can never be restored. The X-Men find themselves overwhelmed by Ahab's forces, and Cable convinces the young X-Men that they must return home immediately in order to save the others. Young Iceman breaks down to his older self, admitting he doesn't want to be forced back into the closet, but the present-day Bobby tells him that his younger self finally allowed him to accept that he was gay and promises that he will finally be able to truly be himself when he grows up. Cable then sends the X-Men back to their original time, informing them that everything will return to normal once they officially close the time loop. In 1964, the young X-Men change into their original clothes and young Jean performs a mind wipe so that they won't remember their time in the present day, although she informs them that she is able to lock their memories away so that, once the loop is closed, their older selves will regain those memories. Back in modern day, the founding X-Men inherit the memories of their younger selves, allowing them to defeat Ahab. Returned to their original time, the young X-Men forget about their adventures in the present and are greeted by Professor Xavier. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more videos about your favorite comics, movies are coming soon. Join me on Patreon by OMeranger004. Your small donation helps run the channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.